This is Felt Recoil.
Great group of guys. I shot a gun for the first time with my wife, and it was amazing. Christopher Vermillion is a great guy. He helped me not feel intimidated by it all. And he told me The Walking Dead ain't real, man. He said there's no way that Rick from The Walking Dead can shoot a gun and just hold that python like that. There's no way.
Hey, welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast. This is episode 89. Can't believe it. Just 11 away from 100. So if we can keep this up for, 3 more months, we'll get there. My name's Kris, and you are...
I'm still Patrick.
Patrick.
I don't know why you have to ask me that every week.
Don't know. I guess maybe part of me just wishes it'll be somebody else each time.
That's fair.
Either way, this is the podcast called Felt Recoil, episode number 89. And let me give you a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about, and then we'll get to this week's charity of choice, because it'll make more sense if you know what's coming. It really will. The Donald Trump reelection campaign has filed suit against CNN. Representatives of the Republican Party persuasion have taken to the floor of the House and said that the DHS whistleblower that we mentioned previously on this program, which we knew full well did not kill himself. Yeah. Indeed, lawmakers now say he did not kill himself. More so, Gomer says he had an agreement with Haney that if either one of them died, the living one would go out and make it his battle, his mission in life, to expose the truth.
Called it here first, folks.
This thing is getting deep. It's kind of scary. It's like a spy novel. And then, just like a soap opera, a pseudo-popular gun company's one-third owner.
I like that you put that caveat in there.
That kind of took the steam out of that one. Is all over the internet today. He is a very rude human being on the internet, and he's incredibly mean to people. And as it turns out, he's got multiple DUIs, most recently in February of last year, and that's really not a huge deal, except it looks like the illness of alcoholism has fully encompassed his life for the last at least decade, if not 15 years. His name is Mike Machowski. He is a partial owner in the Sons of Liberty Gunworks company, and he has a very sordid past, to say the least, of threatening law enforcement, celebrating the people who have killed law enforcement officers, and furthermore, allegedly beating on his mom.
I was going to say, just to sum it up, really strange behavior.
There's a lot to unpack there, and we're going to do it, and we're going to try and be as impartial as possible here, because I don't know a whole lot about the company. I see a lot of fanboys online, but we'll dive deep. So that said, let's talk about this week's charity of choice. We're going to make it the War Fund. Visit greenvillewarfund.com. This is an organization that supports law enforcement inside of our home state of South Carolina. If an officer is shot in the line of duty, like Mike's friend shot the 4 officers inside of Denny's, those officers very realistically could lose pay, and they could lose insurance coverage at some point. Think about that. Their job is to go out and get in between people like you and Mike's friend, and then they get shot, and the department and insurance will no longer, it'll reach a point, and the department and the insurance company will say, we're not going to pay any more bills for you. Sorry. So places like the War Fund exist to cover those bills, to bridge the gap. If you'll visit greenvillewarfund.com, you can learn about their 5K charity run and walk. It's coming up May 9th at Trailblazer Park and Travelers Rest. You can donate a little cash to a really good cause, then go out and meet some like-minded folks, okay? It'll be good for you. It'll be good for those who keep us safe, all right? greenvillewarfund.com, the Wounded and Recovering Fund. Thanks for what you do. All righty. Let me start with a story. I need a little bit of feedback here on if I did the right thing. I know I did the right thing.
I'll be glad to tell you if you didn't.
Let me tell you what happened last night at the Vermillion household. My wife and I are on the couch, and there is a loud, encompassing sound of either an explosion or an impact. And the moment it happens, my dogs go nuts in the backyards. nuts. Every dog in the neighborhood, rah, 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 rah. So instinctively, my wife asks, what was that? We all ask those very obvious questions. Like I would know. I wish I could have given her like a detailed answer. That'd been great. Oh, that was a 95 Ford pickup meeting a tree, which is kind of what I said, because we happen to live off of a short, relatively speaking, a windy, curvy, hilly road is the main drag through our neighborhood. And people drive it like crazy. They drive crazy on this road.
I can attest to that because I've actually been run off the road
multiple times.
Leaving your house before. Yeah.
I'm sure of it. I can't tell you how many times I've had to honk somebody out of my lane oncoming. Like, and they look up and get out of the way. They fly down this winding road. So we are sitting there. We hear the sound, and I say, I'm going to default to car accident. And my wife goes, you think? I said, I'll go look. So I get up, walk out of the living room. If you walk out of our living room, you can go into the kitchen, and off the kitchen, there's a mud room, and off the mud room, there's a stoop that looks out behind the house and into the backyard. You cannot see the busy road, but you can see the houses that line that road. And there are flames above the roofs of those houses. Whoa. High in the sky, smoke everywhere. And I go, oh, crap. Come look at this. So the wife comes in and she goes, what is on fire? So I don't know. I'm going to assume a car hit that telephone pole. You can see a telephone pole near the flames.
Gotcha.
She goes, that is insane. I said, what do we do? Like, I go over? We got to call 911. Yeah, we call 911. So I grab my phone. I dial 911. And I walk into the backyard. 911 answers. What is it? I tell them. We heard the sound of like it felt like an explosion. It sounded like what you would imagine an explosion sounds like. Maybe it was just an impact, but something over there is massively on fire. And the lady says, okay, tell me exactly where you are. So I tell her the cross street, where to find us, my address in relation to it. I tell her there's a house between me and the fire. But that fire is raging. So she's asking for pretty specific details. Is it definitely a vehicle fire? I don't know. I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. It'll take me literally 30 seconds to get in my truck and drive around the block and tell you. So I jog to the truck, not too fast because I don't run, but I go over to the truck.
I've seen you.
I'd already put my keys in my pocket. I drive around the corner, and I look down the street. So you go down my street, take a left, you hit a stop sign there, and you can look all the way down this windy road as far as you can, given its terrain. And there is a raging fire just engulfing one of the lanes of traffic. And I say to the lady, oh, yeah, we're going to need the fire department. This is insanity. It's out of control. And she goes, okay, what is it that's burning? I said, I can't even tell. Can't even tell from here. It's just blinding. She goes, okay. She says, do not put yourself in danger. And I said, well, I have a fire extinguisher because on the way out, I had stopped under the sink and grabbed our big fire extinguisher. And I said, I have a fire. I need to go see if they need help. She says, don't put yourself in danger. Don't get in the way. We have units responding. Okay. So I pull towards it just to see. And on my life, it's 11:38 when we hear the noise. I went back and checked the time on my phone. On my life, it is a massive pile of leaves that this guy has swept partially into the road and is burning in his front yard 11:38 at night. And so I say to the lady, oh, I'm sorry. It's leaves. He's burning leaves. And she's like, what? And so she, kind of comes back down a little bit. And I said, I'm telling you, we heard an explosion. I looked out there and saw a fire, blah, blah. So I go down, do a U-turn, come back by him. And there's a guy literally standing out there like this dainty water hose, like trying to douse the flames. It is out of control. So I say to her, should I stop? Like, what, she says, well, does it look like he has it under control? No, absolutely not under control. Absolutely not.
Now, remember how I told you there were flames taller than a house?
Yes, absolutely.
No, it is not under control.
So battalion chief actually ends up coming to my house Like, we see the trucks arrive. We can see that much from our, I go home. I tell my wife, it's just leaves. He's just burning this massive pile of leaves. You can look out and you can still see what's happening. We see the trucks arrive, and my phone starts ringing, and I go, oh, they're calling me back. And sure enough, the battalion chief's at my front. No, he didn't come to the front door. He's at the driveway in his truck. So I go out, and to his credit, the first thing I did was apologize. I said, man, I'm sorry if I called all you guys out here unwarranted. He goes, no. Somebody needed to call that in. I just want to make sure that's what you called in. Was that the problem that you called about? I said, absolutely. I said, I'm telling you there's accelerant on that fire because I heard impact and looked out there and saw it. He had to have doused it with something. Don't know for sure, but, 2 + 2 and all that. And you could tell that he was like not happy to be there, but he was trying to not be angry at me. Does that make sense? So he was like, oh, no. Somebody needed to call that in. So he goes back over there. I do that every day
when I come to work and I see you. I'm angry to be here. Sometimes, you're the brunt of that. Sorry, buddy.
No, that's okay. It's understandable. So anyway, then I guess the whole point of me sharing this is to kind of get it off my chest, because you do that funny thing where I come back and I'm justifying it to my wife. Like, I really thought it was an accident. Like, I really thought, the flames were huge. I'm telling you, it doesn't show well, so I'm not going to share it because it kind of is unbelievable. If I show you the picture and the video, you're like, that actually doesn't look that bad. But to the human eye, it looked like a war zone for a quick minute, like everywhere. So
did you talk to your neighbor Bubba and ask him what he put on the fire to make it explode?
I kind of feel like stopping by. Maybe I'll let a couple hours go by because I know he plays around at 11:30. So I'll just same time tonight while I go there. Hey, I figured he'd be out.
Just show it with a 6-pack and be like, hey, man.
Yeah, he had to be drunk.
He'd probably be like, yeah, man, there's a bunch of acorns in there. That's what it was.
He'd have to have some sort of crazy excuse. It made zero sense. So anyway, there was that. I kind of felt bad. Like 30% bad, but 70%.
Who the hell burns leaves at midnight?
Is
that a thing?
Great question. I'll tell you this. That fire was so bad that my wife was talking evacuation of the house. Like, okay, do we need to wake the kids? What do we need to do? What do we need to do? And I did not believe she was far off. It looked really, really, really bad. Like, we all have those moments where you build the fire in your backyard to burn the leaves and the debris, these loose branches and all that. And there's that, maybe some of us get it a little bit longer, but, maybe 30 seconds where you're like,
Yes, I do.
Ooh. No, Dad's got it. Dad, calm down.
That's awfully warm on the cheeks.
I can't believe you can feel it all the way from the deck. So anyway, all that to say.
What's the name of your trailer park?
Mahowski Manor.
I like it.
Mahowski?
I don't know, man.
Mahowski. Mahowski? I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but
potato.
We're going to talk about him next. We'll tell you all the drama, true or false, is up to you to decide about this guy who's a partial owner. I'm going to drive that point home of Sons of Liberty Gunworks. Coming up next on the Felt Recoil Podcast. All right, welcome back. Much more to go. We're going to try and squeeze as much in as we can on the 89th episode of the Felt Recoil Podcast. Thanks for being with us. Make sure you subscribe, rate it, share it, tell people. Please, please, please. We can't put that stuff on social media. If we ask you to share on social media, they bury you. So I have to do it here in person, live on a recorded podcast when we're not together. Trump administration suing CNN. Well, really, the reelection campaign, not the administration. Forgive me for that. And then Republican members of Congress saying the DHS whistleblower, in fact, did not kill himself, as the sheriff's office recants their original statement and says, you're right. We might have provided bad information. May not have been a self-inflicted wound. Creepy. Like a novel. But before we get there, let's talk about this. Sons of Liberty Gunworks is what I would call a boutique AR shop. Kind of their branding effort is to suggest that they do everything by hand and they demand these tight tolerances for AR-15s and different weapons. And so a lot of people spend a lot of money on their stuff. They make decent stuff from what I can tell. Back up. They assemble decent stuff from what I can tell. They don't make anything. They source all their parts from other people, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can buy all sorts of parts from anybody you want, and then you pay a premium for somebody that knows what they're doing to put it together. That's
if you
not
don't
a problem.
know,
not a problem.
If you don't know, that's fairly commonplace in our industry. There's only, I would say, a minority of companies that actually
make their parts,
have the resources to make all their own stuff, and I'm talking barrels, handguards, receivers, etc. Even a lot of the manufacturers that make handguards and receivers and stuff still may not have a barrel shop. So you have some outliers there that do a lot of things. Very few do everything.
Daniel Defense would be one of the few that does everything in house, and a lot of shooters would put them on par with BCM. That does a lot less in-house than Daniel Defense. So anyway, it doesn't matter too much, except that I don't want you to take this as disparagement of the brand. They seem like a great company. I'm sure they do good things. The problem I have with what's happening with Sons of Liberty is I do think there's an obligation on the company as a whole, not just Mike, who's a partial owner, who, by the way, the reason I'm driving that home is because he misrepresents that online. Maybe he doesn't intend to, but he definitely doesn't say that he's only a third owner, as this article suggests. He says my company, my company. Anyway, there's a whole lot to unpack, but this is what I want to stick to. Mike has a history that is apparent in these police reports that he does not deny. In fact, his statement to the news outlet, ksat.com, you can read this article right now by going to facebook.com/feltrecoilshow. We have it up there. It just says, wow. And then the article is there. It's been up there for the majority of the day. His response to the story is to say, quote, regrettably, I said and did those things. I wish I could deny those statements, but I can't. Back then, I disliked law enforcement. I don't think they liked me much either. I had a lot of misdirected anger. One night in San Antonio, a police officer gave me the benefit of the doubt when I probably didn't deserve it. He talked to me about personal accountability and the choices we all make and the consequences of those choices. It was the first time I saw the human side of law enforcement, and it had a profound effect on me. The profundity would be lost if I tried to explain it to you, but I credit that officer with saving my life. So the implication there is a law enforcement officer helped me turn my life around, and now I'm a better person. The problem is, I don't want to call it a problem. Maybe his tone has changed about law enforcement. And trust me, the things we're about to read you will probably set the stage for you a lot better. But I want to make sure I preface it very carefully with this. This gentleman is facing DUI second right now in the state of Texas, arrested for a DUI in February of last year. He's been arrested 4 times now, 4 times for driving while, been arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated 4 times since the year 2000. So it would seem that this gentleman has something he's dealing with that he needs help getting through. And I'm an advocate for we shouldn't sit around and wait. You know, Hollywood and the music industry definitely do this thing where they let celebrities kill themselves through drugs and alcohol and then act like, oh, you know, Michael Jackson would be a great example. Oh, we lost a tremendous talent. But you knew. You obviously, people very close to the record is not getting made in that guy's closet, right? No pun intended, Michael Jackson. But the record's not getting made in that guy's closet.
Yikes.
Like, they are dealing with other people, right? Somebody knew that something was happening. There's no denying that. So someone
But
close.
you're right. There is a track record of that, especially in the music industry, I feel like, of those people that are world-renowned stars that have we feel like maybe a sudden demise, but everyone around them could have seen it coming.
Right.
Michael Jackson being a great example. Prince pops into my mind.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, that guy was kind of on a downward spiral for a long time. Apparently, people knew about it, and just I don't know if it was, you got someone that's in some kind of position of power, so nobody wants to say anything to him.
He's writing the check.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're his producer and you go, dude, you were high as a kite, you got to stop.
yeah,
You're fired.
yeah.
So
gravy train.
It's kind of a catch-22, I guess, right?
Yep.
So, look, why am I telling you all that? Why does it matter? Because the retort online to the madness this guy has said about law enforcement, which is inexcusable, and he would agree. He agrees in his statements, inexcusable. We have to hope he's changed the way he really thinks. His behavior does not suggest that. That's my big point here. Recent behavior doesn't suggest that he's actually had a come-to-Jesus moment where he's decided to live differently. Now let's get to the dirty details. And again, remember, the reason I'm telling you that is because what you're going to see the defenders saying, like Garand Thumb did, is Mike's a different guy now than he was 10 years ago. Well, you need to change that. What you're actually trying to tell us is he's a different guy now than he was a year ago, February of 2019. Fourth arrest on suspicion. He's being charged with DUI second. That's a serious offense, okay? All right. The article's headline is, agencies that are buying from the local rifle makers say they were unaware of owner's history of threats and violence against San Antonio Police Department officers. Sons of Liberty Gunworks co-owner Mike Michalski, regrettably, I said and did those things. Months after several San Antonio law enforcement officers expressed concerns about their agencies being associated with Sons of Liberty, which is, I'm going to paraphrase this and just say Sons of Liberty and Mike back and forth. Mike's admitted to a past history of physically clashing with and threatening San Antonio Police Department officers. Michalski earlier this year acknowledged being a 35% owner of the Southside customized rifle manufacturer. Invoices obtained by KSAT 12 show that the San Antonio area law enforcement agencies have spent close to $100,000 with Sons of Liberty on weapons and weapons parts over the past few years. In November 2007, San Antonio police responded to a home after receiving an emergency call for a son tearing up the house. On scene, Michalski's mother told officers that her son was destroying furniture and to be careful because he may reach for their guns. Inside the home, officers found Michalski? I can't decide how to say his name.
I have no idea.
Michalski.
Best of luck to you, buddy.
Shirtless, no shoes, disheveled hair, bloodshot, glassy eyes, yelling at another person. According to the arrest report, Michalski looked at his mom and said he just wanted to run his fist through her mouth and see her brains, that she should take a very large caliber gun and blow her head off. Now, side note, he denies all of that. Those charges didn't stick, by the way, because his mom refused to cooperate, which I don't blame her for. That's going to be a tough thing when it's your son. You know the demons he's facing. The report goes on to say that Mike said he was feeling twitchy and that he wanted to hurt his mom. Michalski told officers that booked him that he hoped his mother, quote, gets killed by the devil himself, then burns in hell as a shish kebab with bell peppers on a stick. Court records show both misdemeanor charges against him were dismissed after his mom quit cooperating. 3 months before those charges were dismissed, in February 2009, Michalski was arrested on a charge of abusive calls to 911. Officers responded to his apartment. He was accused of calling 911 and threatening to do harm to police officers. He used vulgarity during calls with 3 different female police dispatchers, and he referred to a 2003 incident at a Denny's restaurant where 4 San Antonio Police Department officers were injured, 2 of them critically, and the suspect was killed during a shootout inside the Denny's. The 3 misdemeanor charges against him were dismissed in late November of that year when he took a plea deal to an unrelated DWI case. Months later, in February 2010, Mike was again taken into custody. During this incident, officers were attempting to take him into custody outside of a downtown wine bar for public intoxication. He began resisting and using an expletive and a homophobic slur to refer to one officer before saying that he himself had killed Sergeant Bacco, an apparent reference to the late San Antonio police officer who was shot in the Denny's and died later in an unrelated motorcycle crash. Records show Michalski reportedly referenced the Denny's shooting by saying, quote, "My buddy killed all you, mother, expletive, deleted." Now, Bacco's in the ground, mother, expletive, deleted, 6 feet under. He then lunged headfirst at one officer and violently kicked his feet at multiple officers while yelling that he had killed other cops himself. He was later charged with resisting arrest and stated that he would return to kill the officers. He pleaded no contest to that charge in November of 2010 and was sentenced to just 2 days in jail. He had to pay a fine. Court records show. Police records confirm a connection between Michalski and the Denny's shooting suspect because that guy worked for his mom. I believe that is where it all ends as far as his multiple run-ins with law enforcement. And again, remember, Michalski says, quote, "Regrettably, I said and did those things. I wish I could deny those statements, but I can't." So the question being debated around the gun world social media today is forgiveness required of us?
He does sort of fess up. I don't know that I would consider it an apology, but he does say he can't deny the statements, right?
Right.
So I think maybe that's sort of step one there is admitting, yeah, I made a mistake. That was me. It sounds like he's referencing stuff that happened longer ago than this most frequent DUI. Two points. One, I hope that all of this leads to him getting some help if that's what he actually needs.
Sure.
And maybe the fact that he's willing to admit that he, has had a storied past and the fact that it's in the public eye, maybe that will sort of force his hand to do that. Flip side of that coin is if he's not, and he's going to continue to be a dick to people on social media and continue to have an alcohol problem or whatever the case may be, then if I'm the other co-owners of Sons of Liberty, I'm probably going to start distancing myself.
Yeah, just ask him to.
And that's just me. I mean, I'm purely speaking from my point of view. That's what I would do.
Yep.
If he didn't, want to straighten up.
Well, you make a very interesting point because we are in a day and age where I'm guilty of this at this very moment. You assume you know something about people because you've seen the way they behave on social media, and that's not a fair thing to do. So
yeah, I judge you constantly by social media, just so you know.
He has the unique ability to just dissolve his social media existence. Just be done online. Just stop. Nobody
people do it all the time.
They would have never known his name. He could just dissolve into the background and be done, and this could all blow over. The bigger issue I have is actually, I get it, and I feel bad for the guy that his past is coming back to haunt him, because I will give him the benefit of the doubt to believe he's changed his stance on law enforcement. And that's fantastic. Look, even Paul converted, right? Like, you had Saul of Tarsus that was out there literally murdering Christians, and now he's the most revered person of the faith. Think about it. The guy was mass executing Christians, and now he is the most revered person of the faith. So there are extraordinary stories like that, and I'm okay with it. The problem I run into is actually not with Mike at all. It's with the people adamantly supporting the things he said at the time. Even he is out there going, I wish I'd have never said those things. And there are people on the Grand Thumb page right now, in the AR-15 owners page right now, who are saying, oh, he hated cops? I'll buy his stuff tomorrow. I hate cops too. And
there is a large and growing sentiment in social media.
Very troubling sentiment.
Anti-police rhetoric. A lot of it stems from, I think, the subject of red flag laws being introduced.
Right.
Because all of these people are saying, well, the cops are the enemy because they're going to be the ones that come and take my guns. Mm-hmm. No, idiots. The people that you voted into office are the enemy.
Right.
They're the ones writing the laws.
Yep.
The police are there to enforce.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying if I were a cop that I would ever want to enforce one of those. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying your anger is misguided. Go vote.
Yeah, that's right. And it's concerning to me that what is actually happening because of incidents like this is you're giving the anti-gun establishment media exactly what they want. Okay? Because they're in there, they're watching. They'll find it. They'll take it. They'll screen grab it. And now look at the supporters of Grand Thumb. That if you don't think the media won't get up every chance they get and go, popular YouTuber Grand Thumb shows support for anti-cop rhetoric, and his fans agree. If you don't think that's a screaming headline for the mainstream media, get your head out of your batukas there and get back in the game because you're not thinking logically. They will use this. They will use it against you. They will use it against all of us. It would just be nice if everyone could calm down on the anti-police rhetoric. Stop. And here's the thing. You are a vocal minority, right? There's a sleeping giant out there that is the pro-LEO segment of the gun world. That's the majority of us, 95% of us. But we're getting shouted down by the 5%. And not enough people are willing to stand up and go, hey, shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. By the way, largely non-LEO people.
Part of the point that you were making just a second ago was about the media. And one of the biggest defenses I've seen for Mike and Sons is that this whole KSAT 12 story and article are basically one big hit job on them by a bunch of anti-gunners. Now,
we also didn't land on the moon. That was fake too.
Fair enough. I'm just the defense is a little played.
Well, yeah, the amount of people it would take to fake such a thing over so many years.
This isn't exactly like a big conspiracy here. I mean, it's all public record. It's all out in the open. And then there he is saying, yeah, I said that crap. Right. So for this to be a hit piece, now maybe piss somebody off because he mouths off at people online all the time.
Yeah,
and they went, well, I guess I'm going to do a little digging on this guy. And then boom goes the dynamite.
So that's already happening. There's a guy who had posted in the Sons of Liberty Gunworks owners group on Facebook and had said, it's coming. He used some expletives, but he was basically like, get ready for this. And they booted him because he posted this story. And he was letting everybody know, hey, this guy has a sordid past.
What about my First Amendment?
You should examine that. Right, exactly. That's exactly what they say. And so they gave him the boot in order to protect Mike. And then everybody is so quick to go, the past is the past. But this isn't his past. He's still dealing with these things, okay? Sure. The only reason the man is legally allowed to own a firearm is because his mom wouldn't cooperate. Had that stuck, that's criminal domestic violence, right? I mean, there's no owning a gun after that.
Right.
Again, I'm not blaming her, and I'm not saying it actually happened. Maybe it's 100% true. But had those charges pressed, he'd be in a much bigger world of hurt right now than he currently is. So, again, a lot of allegations, which I guess we should be very careful of there. It's a lot of allegations, but it's also tied to very recent memory on charges he's still facing. He still hasn't settled a DUI, his second DUI that'll go before the court. The article says fourth time arrested on the suspicion of driving while intoxicated. Listen to me. You don't get caught every time. Right. You know, you don't get caught every time you have too much to drink and then you drive yourself home. Something is going on here. So I don't want to beat him up too much. I'm reminded of John Correa in a sense right now. Where,
good day, sir.
Good day, sir. I try to be very, very explicit in our critiques of John Correa that I appreciate what the man does. I think John Correa has done great things for the firearms community. But I do believe that if you're going to get on your knee in front of the American flag and tell us all that America is full of racism and is institutionally racist, people need to be aware of that before they do business with you. And if you have a strong history of anti-police rhetoric, I think people should at least be aware of that before they do business with you. If you've changed your ways and you can publicly prove it, which it seems he can to a degree, then so be it. But the man is still struggling. Somebody close to him should help him. And the people who are defending him need not defend the things he has said that he now says he regrets saying. That's it. That's all. So, very sordid story. It reads like a soap opera. I know haters are going to hate on him because of what Sons of Liberty is. And his supporters are going to support him.
Come to his
absolutely
white knight him to death.
But I hope look, here's a challenge to Grand Thumb. If you're close to him, you should feel obligated. Maybe he already has. Grand Thumb seems like a straight up, straight laced kind of guy.
I like to think so.
Somebody needs to reach out to this gentleman and say, "Hey, man, let's get you talking to somebody. All right, put the bottle down for sure, and let's talk this out with somebody." real quick point to end on, what I would encourage Mike to do is go watch the Glenn Beck interview with Matt Best, because I've never disliked Matt Best, but I've never bought into his shtick. It's never really been my thing. But he sat down with Glenn Beck recently for the Glenn Beck podcast, and you can watch the video if you want. Really, really strong story of a guy coming back, dealing with his demons, which, by the way, I can never imagine. I'll never have to imagine what that's like. But he dealt with his demons, straightened himself up, and there's a great moment where he goes, yeah, I was basically a hardcore alcoholic, drinking all the time, no direction, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to fix it. And Glenn Beck goes, good for you, man. How long you been sober? And Best goes, oh, I'm not sober. I just learned how to deal with it. If you don't know Glenn Beck's history, it's not as funny, but Glenn Beck was a terrible alcoholic who has been sober for years now and is very open about he still struggles. He still has to every day say, don't drink, don't drink. So anyway, all right. That's a whole lot, but I hope the takeaway for you is we wish him all the best. If the man needs help, I hope he gets the help he needs. Certainly sounds like it. The company will survive. Yeah, that's apparent. Through the people that are posting, they're still going to do business, and they don't mind. And you know what? Let me say it this way as well. A lot of people I respect are saying this is now a respectable guy. So I'll just give him the benefit of the doubt that he is, and hopefully he straightens it out and gets on the straight and narrow, and things go well for him moving forward. Stop drinking and driving. In this day and age, zero excuses. Zero. Okay.
Uber's cheap.
Uber, Lyft, you got everything you need. If you know you've had too much, call someone. People die every day because of DUIs. Okay. Take that seriously. All right. Up next, we'll do a lightning round and fill you in on Trump's reelection campaign suing CNN and Louis Gohmert saying the DHS whistleblower did not kill himself. I'll tell you more about that next. All right, welcome back to the Felt Recoil podcast. This will be our third and final segment. Went a little long this week. Hey, why are you guys trying to keep it short? Here's the idea. If we can get the whole podcast in between your commute to work and your commute home, we've done our job each week. New episodes every Tuesday morning, wherever you find your podcasts. Felt Recoil Show. All right, let's wrap up episode 89 and tell you this. On Friday, President Trump's reelection campaign sued CNN. Apparently, there's a string of lawsuits coming from that campaign. They claim CNN specifically published false and defamatory statements by stating the campaign, quote, assessed the potential risks and benefits of again seeking Russia's help in 2020 and has decided to leave that option on the table. The senior legal advisor for the Trump campaign, Jenna Ellis, tells Fox News the complaint alleges CNN was aware of the falsity at the time it published, but did so for the intentional purpose of hurting the campaign. The best thing I've seen about this Russia collusion thing, by the way, was a guy said, you mean to tell me Russia bought $1 million worth of Facebook ads and won an election, but Mike Bloomberg just dropped $500 million and couldn't win more than a couple delegates? Yeah, right. Good point, my friend. Great point. So it's a whole lot of nothing, and they know it. But good to see. It's good to see the media held accountable. Because if they say things, even if they allow it in their opinion pieces, which is where these are coming from, and we know they're not true, and they know it's not true when they publish it, they should not be allowed to hide behind the opinion piece, because there is editorial guidance in place there. It's the same reason.
Yeah, but that's what they do with everything now.
You got that
everything
right.
is well, that was just our opinion. Yeah. It's very hard to tell on any of the network news stations when it's opinion and when it's not anymore.
That is true.
And I think that's by design. I think they all do it so they can kind of ride that line of
he's opinion. Yeah. Everybody knows he's opinion.
And you get slapped on the hand for saying something stupid. You go, oh, well, that was just, what's his head?
And look at it. And but if you think about it, so, okay, the opinion guys are saying things that aren't true, but so are Brian Williams and Dan Rather. That's what ran those guys out, is they were saying things that were patently false as if they were true, mainly about themselves. Because
I was going to say, those two guys, that was all self-deprecating there. I mean, they literally lied about their own experiences.
Because the media has also gone into mode of making themselves the story half the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
They inject themselves into everything, and they want us to believe that they're on a tier higher than us. Ergo, their opinion matters, and their reporting should be flawless.
That's the hook you in.
Unreal.
So you feel like you got to stick with their network.
You got that right. All right, Chris Inlow over the Blaze has an incredible article and write-up. Two Republican lawmakers, Representatives Louis Gohmert of Texas and Steve King of Iowa, are sounding the alarm over the death of Philip Haney. You remember we talked about this a couple episodes ago, the former Homeland Security official who turned whistleblower against the Obama administration. In a little-noticed speech on the House floor on February 28th, both congressmen bucked claims that Haney died by suicide. King says, quote, "I'm standing on the floor here saying, Madam Speaker, I don't believe that Haney committed suicide. I expect that we're going to get a thorough investigation. Phil often said, I would never commit suicide," King explained, adding that he was a good friend of Haney's. Meanwhile, Gohmert explained in a lengthy speech that he, too, was a good friend of Haney, so much so, in fact, they had a mutual pact. Get this. Gohmert says, quote, "I had been concerned about his safety with all the information he knew and people who could have gotten in trouble. We had a mutual pact. It said, if either one of us ended up committing suicide, then the other is going to make sure that the truth wins out." King and Gohmert both explained that Haney had always kept a thumb drive around his neck containing a cache of highly sensitive documents related to allegations that the government could have prevented domestic terrorist attacks by Islamic extremist perpetrators. It's not clear what happened to the thumb drive. Haney was a DHS whistleblower who testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee in June of 2016. If you're not aware, by the way, there are articles out there today that the Obama administration did know and fumble opportunities to prevent domestic terror attacks. Garland, Texas, as we've talked about, the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, the San Bernardino shooting. Yeah. They knew all of these things. They did nothing, and people died as a result.
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Yes.
About this thumb drive.
Okay.
I'm not, I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Okay.
But I feel like whatever was on that thumb drive, you can currently buy on Amazon for $9.99.
Oh, you think?
Yes. Because he did write a book called See Something, Say Something about that very subject.
See Something, Say Nothing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I got a little confused there.
You're good.
But yeah, I mean, my point is
they will kill you.
They will kill you if you write bad things about them. But I'm making light of it because obviously these two guys you don't make a pact with somebody like that because you're like, hey, you're at the bar and you're having a good time, you're having some beers. Hey, listen, Chris.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, I'm not going to kill myself.
Okay.
Because that's kind of a mood killer,
right?
So you don't want to go that dark,
right?
Typically, if you're just hanging out, there's probably got to be a reason you're actually making that pact.
Sure.
There's probably got to be a reason you're keeping a flash. I'm not a big jewelry guy.
Yeah.
Not gonna start wearing a flash drive around my neck. Just throwing that out there.
It's very cloak and dagger in a sense,
but it does
terrifying.
come across. You said at the top of the show, it comes across like something out of a spy novel, right? And so, I think what happens to the American public in general is when things like this happen, it's automatically whoever's talking about it, you, me, or whoever, it's going to be labeled a conspiracy nut.
That's right.
Conspiracy theorist.
That's
because it has that negative connotation.
Yep.
And we're kind of in this mode where that enables the media or whomever doesn't really want to hear a whole lot about it to be dismissive.
That's right.
So it reads to me just like a spy novel. And because of that, people are less inclined to believe it because people just think, well, spy novel stuff, it's all fiction.
Can't believe it.
As if some of the spy novel stuff could have never been based on anything that actually might have happened
at
some point.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, generally, if someone's writing fiction, there's some truth buried in it somewhere. They got those ideas from something that happened.
So look at Dean Koontz and The Eyes of Darkness. Everybody's crazy about this book right now because in 1981, this guy incorporated what is essentially the coronavirus into his book in 1981. He said China will weaponize a virus out of Wuhan University. And now we go, back
in the year 2020.
It's crazy. And now it's happening. It's happening. It's insanity. So, yes.
The phrase truth stranger than fiction comes to mind, is all I'm saying.
Cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
Usually cliche for a reason because it's true. All right, that was a long one, and we're sorry. Patrick can talk.
Yeah, that's my bad, guys.
We'll come back in a week and do it again, though. It'll be a good time. If you don't know, Felt Recoil Show on all the social medias, very active on Facebook and Instagram. Come follow us. We'll follow you. It'll be a good time online. We'll make fun of people together, like friends do. We'll see you next time for another episode of the Felt Recoil Podcast.